T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir, you've tuned in to another episode of Sports and Other Stuff. Here's what we have for you this week. NFL preseason week 2. The Alliance continues to grow. College football predictions for our local boys and sports of yesteryear. So let's talk about it, guys. Was it just me or Mitchell Trubisky with another quick pass? Mitchell Trubisky with another completion. I know it's a change of scenery. I know it's a change of tools. But maybe, just maybe, it's better coaching. Am I wrong about this or what? He looked good.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've had this conversation about Nagy before. I just don't think the man knows how to use his personnel. And Trubisky, I think Trubisky, Sam Darnold are victims of the same process. And I think they're decent quarterbacks. Now, I think Sam Darnold's a little better quarterback than Trubisky, but I think Trubisky is a quality guy, and he's a quality backup. And it was cool to see that the Chicago players had no animosity for him. It's obvious that he was a positive force in the locker room. So I think in the end, that was the best move for him to get away from Nagy.
Plus, he's a fourth-year veteran now, right? I mean, the guy's been around. He's not a kid.
Actually, I believe this is his 5th year.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like Lug said, like the big thing is the big issue with it is, and I'm not saying that maybe Buffalo didn't scheme it up a little bit better, but to be fair to Buffalo, all their wide receivers, they're all backups. Diggs didn't play, Emmanuel Sanders didn't play, Cole Beasley, still he's out making rap songs about COVID, anti-vaxxing somewhere. He didn't play, but he didn't do, and most of the Bears defense was starters. Roquan and I believe was the main guy missing from their starting defense. So, and Danny Trevathan, I think. So it's like it was mostly starters versus backups at skill positions. So and like we said, I kind of agree with Lugs. I think we've stayed consistent on Trubisky. He probably was drafted too high. He was never probably going to be like a high-level quarterback. But to all the people that were snarky and said he's a bum or whatnot, that's not the case at all. Like, he could maybe develop into a solid starter maybe down the road or whatnot. He's definitely a good backup at this point. And obviously, the one thing I think you saw that Brian Daboll showed is, like, he played to his strengths. He's not great at throwing down the field for the most part. He used his athleticism, ability to move around and throw intermediate to short passes. And, he played to his strengths. That's what you're supposed to do as a coach. The big takeaway I take from this matchup was this was a great interview for Brian Daboll to be the head coach next year for the Bears, offensive coordinator for Buffalo Bills. That's the main takeaway I hopefully take away. So, because he took your quarterback who you said was a bum and he shredded your defense, your quote unquote vaunted defense.
And
so
now you know the rest of the story, right? You may be right.
Yeah, but I guess staying on that game, I just want to kind of like last week, we talked about all the rookie quarterbacks, I guess the top 5 ones to be specific. Talk about Fields in that game. The main takeaway I had from it is, he truly displayed on a few runs. Like, I mean, he would run and like he would usually get the first down with ease. And I know and to be fair, he was going against second and third stringers. So like these aren't the premier athletes he'll be facing whenever he's a starter, but still, like he was cutting up the field with relative ease. He had, I think he had 2 drops, one in the third, in the third quarter. He hit Rodney Adams on a skinny post, but Adams dropped it, and then he threw one to Johnson. Let me see here. real quick. He threw a nice throw to Johnson, who just couldn't come down with it. He was hit on the back on like a high throw late early in the fourth. But that blitz, and look, that line for the Bears is horrible. But that sack, that was actually completely on Fields. Because that was hot. And you saw later in the game, they did the exact same blitz, and he was able to throw the hot route to get the first down. So he learned from that. But still, like, he was very up and down. It was overall, except for two of the quarterbacks of the rookies, it was up and down. You saw some good qualities still from all of them, but three of them definitely showed a lot more struggle than what they did in preseason week 1.
Yeah, I think Zach Wilson showed the best of the batch. But again, you know, he had his highlights and he had his lowlights. But I think that's what you expect from guys that are just starting that game. So it'll be interesting with Chicago. I respect Andy Dalton, but he's just not the spark that they need at this point. And especially with that offensive line as flat as it is at this point. And I don't know how it's going to get any better. I don't see anybody pushing forward to really do anything different than they're doing. So I think they've got to go with Fields. I do.
Well, preseason 3 game, they are starting Fields.
Yeah.
So they've said that Andy Dalton will be the starter. They're resting him, but I don't know if he shows out. And maybe if he gets to play with some starters. I mean, I guess again, to be fair to Andy Dalton, none of their most important guys played in that game. In terms of Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, like all those guys are out. But still, I agree with Luggs. I think you've seen some positivity generated with Fields in 2 games, albeit it was clunky in this weekend, but like he still feels like he can keep the offense moving, even if it's just primarily by his legs. So.
All right. So that's the Bears Bills. What else did you like?
Luggs brought up, I'll just say this. He was right. Wilson was the most impressive of the rookie quarterbacks in the Jets-Packers game. The main thing that stood out to me is he had 2 great throws that were just major exhibitions of just his arm power and his ability to throw at different levels. In the first quarter, with like 35 seconds to go, he hit a guy on a wheel route for a 27-yard game. And when he threw it, he was jumping. So like he was in midair when he threw it, 27 yards downfield. It was all arm. I mean, and then with I'm trying to see the other one. It was with 12:43 left in the first quarter. He looks deep and this one was a nice one where he looked deep and then he checked down to the fullback Wesco on an out route, and he did that one with all arm too, outside the numbers. So I mean, again, he's special, and I just think again, I think they have fairly good coaching. They have a fairly good offensive line. I know they're young, but I think they have a talented offensive line. So, but again, like Corey Davis, he's new to the team. He came from Tennessee Titans, and Corey Davis has looked good in the first 2 games. So, like, they knew how to assimilate these guys who are new to this team very quickly.
Romo saying that Wilson is the new Dan Marino, maybe a little superbly, but
wow.
But his arm strength, and I think also you can see he grasped that offense. He was not going to his 3rd or 4th receiver, but he was going to number 2 consistently. I mean, he was seeing the field well enough. So the Jets may surprise some people this year. I don't think they're doing anything massive just because of just the nature of their defense, but they may surprise some people offensively.
And the other thing that helps them too, probably at the beginning of the season, is the guy who was making buzz in camp, in OTAs, and then early in camp, who has missed the first 2 preseasons, is their 2nd round pick, Elijah Moore, wide receiver at Ole Miss. He was the toast of the town for the Jets for most of the camp. So like he's already practicing again. So maybe he plays the third preseason game. But if they have him and Corey Davis with the way Zach Wilson's throwing it, yeah, I think they're going to be a little underrated team. That I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be a lot more feisty than a lot of people give them credit for. Speaking of feisty, though.
Feisty, go feisty.
The other one, speaking of the other quarterback who actually played well pretty much from beginning to end, even though he was a different style of quarterback as Mac Jones. Mac Jones, I mean, he's a rhythm thrower, and he was very accurate. And, I mean, a lot of it was short and intermediate, even though he did have some deeper strikes. But, like, again, it's that New England style of offense that Brady ran forever. Like, if you're going to put everyone deep, if you're going to back all your corners and safeties up, he'll just allow, like, Sony Michel dump off Sony Michel on, like, a wheel route or, like, a Texas route or whatever. And, like, they'll get you, like, for 5 yards on first down, 4 yards on second down, and they'll just matriculate the ball downfield. He's very patient, which, is impressive for a guy who's just out of college. That
Alabama offense prepared him for New England, I think, because they didn't do a lot of deep ball stuff. Judy, they did, but he was doing a lot of that dip and dunk sort of stuff. So he's well trained for Belichick.
So you say he's a rhythm passer?
He had a little rhythm here. Yeah, he had a little,
rocket.
Well, just what I'm saying is, like, he would, like, when he'd take his drop, once he got to the end of his drop, he would throw. Or, like, usually it was underneath 3 seconds and the ball's out of his hands. He never held the ball too long for the most part. It's always coming out. I will say there were 2 throws on the 2-point conversion that they failed. And then at the very end of the game, he threw a throw, I think the last throw of the game. He threw it, and I think it was a little bit late. I do think his one weakness in terms of, not that it's bad, his arm talent isn't up to, like, obviously a Zach Wilson or like Trey Lance in this, or Trevor Lawrence. Like, that's where it showed up in the red zone, where he threw to Kendrick Bourne on the 2-pointer, and it was just a little late. And the same thing I want to say on the last throw of the game, where the running back kind of ran an out route, and he threw it a little late and allowed the defender to get there and knock it away.
So, Lugs, did you say Judy? Like, remember Goober used to say, Judy, 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 remember?
Yeah.
On the Andy Griffith show. Hey, Ange, Judy, Judy, Judy. I don't know what that was, but go ahead. Take it away, man. Take it.
That was his take on Cary Grant.
Oh,
Judy,
wow.
Judy, Judy.
Okay.
So,
wow. What you learn on this program is amazing. Take it away.
Looking at the rookies, Travis Etienne, he's out for the season already, busted up foot. That's just sad because, I was looking forward to he and Trevor really doing some of that old stuff that they were doing at Clemson.
Yeah. But speaking of alma mater pride for Lugs, UNC's Javonte Williams, I mean, Melvin Gordon's been nursing an injury. Melvin Gordon needs to get back. Javonte Williams is taking that job. I mean, he's going to be starting running back for Broncos. I mean,
he wants it. You can tell.
Yeah. And the other single rookie running backs, Najee Harris, I worried about obviously I like Najee Harris. I just worried because how bad their offensive line was last year, the Steelers. And they, to be fair to them, they got rid of a lot of guys. So you're like, well, they're all new. I was like, well, they were bad last year, so maybe it was better to change everything out. But, like, the way Najee Harris has looked is like, I'm feeling better about the Steelers. I know I was kind of down on them and had them, I guess, going third in the NFC North. If, like, Najee kind of plays like how he's played in the preseason, I don't know. That's all I'll say. I think because the mandate came from owners on down, they are going to run the ball this year. So this is not up to Roethlisberger to always audible out to a pass. Like, this has become on high from the Rooneys. Like, you're going to run the ball. Or I don't know which Rooney will come down and box Ben Roethlisberger's ears.
Thou shalt run the ball.
And the way Najee Harris has looked, they're going to run the ball well. So
he reminds me a lot of Kamara for New Orleans, the sort of style and ruggedness of the hits.
That's an excellent compliment considering he's like